Forget the hassle of traveling and waiting in lines.
You can now pay your application fee for temporary employment permits online using eCash.
Simply complete the online application for a temporary employment permit, and when it's time to pay, select the eCash option and pay instantly using your mobile phone.
eCash and the Government of Belize, making life easier.
Morning, everyone. So let's talk about how can we make life easier if you're applying for that work permit, and to give us an insight into the background. How do we get there? What's next to come? And of course, how can you log into this application and make life more convenient and easier? Let me introduce our guests here. We have Ms. Alexia Peralta, Director of eGovernance and Digitalization Unit. Alexia, good morning. Good to have you here. How are you feeling?
Hi, good morning. I'm glad to be here.
It's Wednesday.
Right, it's Wednesday. I got to get serenaded by a beautiful voice earlier while we're waiting.
What a treat. See, it only happens in sunup. Only happens at sunup. So thank you so much for joining us. You have Ms. Marcelle Theus. How are you, Ms. Marcelle? You're Labor Officer. How are you feeling today? It's Wednesday too.
I'm feeling fine since I have the mic.
Okay.
And you had that beautiful blue on that just, man, your skin be popping. It's good. I love the vibe.
And Ms.
So
Agata.
Wednesday uniform.
We had Wednesday vibe.
Yeah.
We need to put some blue on like that on Wednesday too as
Next
well.
week.
Next week, okay.
Next week. Okay. And we have Ms. Agata Ruta. She's the Head Digital Retail and Corporate Banking. Ms. Agata, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good to have you here as well. I mean, it's quite a good presence here. Different sectors coming up together. It's beautiful to see. So let's get started with the conversation, Ren.
Yes, we should. So let's talk a little bit about, e-governance. I understand that this is the pilot project. So can we talk a little bit about, the brainchild behind this? Where are we trying to go? With a pilot somewhere. So let's understand where we're going.
Well, really, this all started when the new administration came in, and they really saw that e-governance, going online, taking the government to become more digital, to become more effective, more efficient, was a priority. And hence, of course, the creation of our ministry, our unit, but more importantly, setting the national digital agenda as the country's policy and roadmap in how we want to now collectively take this transformation process. And I think that was a vital step. Of course, one of the core elements of e-governance is taking the government online. And we saw that, there were so many initiatives by ministries wanting to go online, really pushing to create that efficiency and that better user experience for the citizens, which I think is very vital and important. But we did see a missing link, and the fact that while services were going online, payments still remained manual.
Yeah.
So you still had to do trafficking to the Treasury Department to try to make your payments, try to connect back with us online. So, we thought again, how best can we now transform these services? How best can we now improve that service delivery to the citizen? Because that's really what we're trying to do from an e-governance perspective. How do we create that public value? How do we keep reinventing and changing and improving? It's a continuous process. So then we decided to partner with the Ministry of Finance, the Treasury Department, the Ministry of Rural Transformation, Community Development, Labor, and Local Government.
That's a lot to say.
That's a lot to say, but I got
it.
And of course, with the private sector, in this case, the Belize Bank, in trying to adopt the most advanced technology that could meet the needs of our users and could really allow us to go online very quickly, but also facilitate payments very quickly. So it's really, truly about just trying to improve that user experience for every single Belizean and providing you a tailored product.
Definitely.
Because we also understand that while you don't want to travel to Treasury Department, we also understand that there are limitations in accessing bank accounts, accessing credit cards. So we really had to think about what best could work for the market and for the clients that access this service.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And so I want to give Ms. Marcelle the chance to talk a little bit about the Labor Department and exactly what's the role that they've been playing, especially with the TP.
So just before COVID, we came up with some plans that, like for the banana industry, Belize is very rural. And so it's very hard for some people to get to the Treasury Department. And just before COVID, we were trying to come up with some ideas of putting things electronic or online. And when COVID came, it just fast tracked it. And so we had to work, as we say, tea, dinner, tea, to get it online. And last year in January, that's when the temporary work permit online system came, or the TEP that we call it TEP. So at that time, still, it was, of course, when it comes to digital, a lot of people are not so learnable when it comes to that.
They're not
And
savvy like
yes,
that.
so
Yeah.
the labor officers will have to help them.
Yeah.
And then we have a TEP education that we try to do with them. But as we go along, one of the main complaint was that when you're sitting in front of your laptop and you're doing your application, the application is in two parts. It's in the employment section and it's in the employee section. And when you reach to the employee section, you realize that you have to go to the Treasury Department to get a government treasury. And so you have to leave your application halfway to go to the Treasury Department, pay, and then come back and restart. And that was one of the complaints that we were always getting over and over. So the ministry now, the minister and the CEO and all the heads of the departments start to find something that would be easier for people not to leave their comforts of their home or not to leave the comforts of their office. That's where we are now to. Miss Agata comes in.
Yes.
eCash.
Okay, so
The
we can-
savior, Miss
Yeah.
Agata.
That sounds good.
Yeah, so we can see how like e-governance is a new kid in the block, and it's so welcome given that it gives people that convenience to go about making any sort of application. I mean, we've seen that our ministries have been stressed with a shortage of staff and people going there and wanting to make processes like as efficient as possible. And so what better way to make it than, make everything go be electronic? And of course, since we can now make payments online too and electronically via apps like eCash, right? So it makes things even better. So
Yes.
how does the partnership now work?
And it makes natural sense, right? That's why we are so happy to collaborate so closely with the Ministry of E-Governance, because they are so citizen-centric. And we at the Belize Bank are very much customer-centric. So we do everything to improve the customer experience. That's why a year ago we launched eCash, because we saw certain gaps on our market, which is the fact that we don't have all of the customer citizens still banked, right? We have 35% of the adults in Belize still unbanked.
Oh, wow.
Only 17% of our customers do have a credit card. So it's not that easy to introduce the payment system which will be reachable to everybody.
That's true.
That's why we developed eCash, which is a digital wallet, absolutely available to the entire public, whether you are banked, unbanked, if it doesn't matter which financial institution you are banking with, or maybe you have an account at the credit union, or maybe you don't have any bank account. That's fine. We are the first ones who introduced the simplified onboarding process for the customers within actually 2 minutes to be able to register, and they can go ahead and start to use the digital wallet. And then this is the natural and extension for the governmental services, because the public needs to have an access to smoothly process transactions, to really have this end-to-end process, not only to finish halfway and then try to figure out what to do and still make a time to go to the Treasury Department and pay and then come back, like we were saying. But you can complete the transaction straight away on the website within minutes. And then it's a win-win situation for the customers as well as for the Labor Department, Finance Department, because they see the transactions real time.
Yeah.
There is no delay in the transactions. The customer is comfortable seeing the transaction being successfully executed, and then the Treasury Department can settle immediately as well.
If I can just add, I think one of the main highlights or gains for the public as well is that now you don't have to depend on rushing to go between your 8 to 5 to make it to the Treasury Department, but now you can do it at the comfort of your home at the time that you have, because the applications are now 24/7, so it makes even the process easier overall and accessible. And I think that's the most important thing in wanting to be more inclusive, more accessible to the citizens. And I think that's why the partnership and collaboration, it's a really great initiative in moving forward.
Yeah.
What we're trying to achieve as e-governance.
As you can see, we are very excited about it.
Yeah.
Remember, when it comes to temporary work permit, it's only investors, people who are not Belizeans, who needs temporary work permit. And when you're here in the country, there's not much from one ministry to the next ministry. There's not much education. And so what we do at Labor Department is to give as much education as we can possibly give. All you need to do is to give us an email or give us a call, and we do a TEP education, labor education, any education when it comes under our umbrella. And for us, the labor officers are always there to help. Now, most investors will go in the rural areas in Belize, in San Pedro, in Placencia, and when they have to do their permits. Now, if you're going to be here, the law in Belize is that you must, whatever work you're doing, even voluntary work, you must get a temporary work permit. And sometimes these people are already in the rural areas, and they will have to leave there to go all the way to Tong or to Belmopan just to get that receipt. So now it's much better that they can sit, do their permit, even before they reach in Belize City. Before you even land, you can do your permit. And when you land, then you can do the other section, because we need your interest stamp. You have to be in the country to have a work permit.
Yes.
And so it's easier for the banana industry, who has a bunch, like sometimes 300 people, and they are all the way in the areas of the forest. So for them to come and go to Dangriga to do these payments, it's a little bit hard for them.
Yeah.
Now there's two payments. There is the $45, which is the regular payment for a year. And then there is the $120 payment, which is for people who are entertainers that comes overnight. Or you come in as, there are some airlines that has special mechanics, and they will come in just to check the plane for a day or two. They also need work permit. And so it's much better if they do it online, a click, and they're done.
Yeah.
I think it really saves time.
It really does.
General, like you mentioned, before you even land the Belize, you can already have this finished out. And what is super important, like you mentioned, there's an education campaign, there's an education plan that people can be able to say, all right, I don't understand how this works. I can be able to just get this step-by-step guide, because I think a lot of people, even sometimes young people, they don't understand necessarily the process of things just because you're young, don't necessarily understand everything and all, where you're supposed to go, or where you're supposed to click, or whatever it is, or why is this beeping red, or like all these different things. So I think it's super important there is that process where people can follow along, that they can be educated on how they're supposed to do it. And could you provide a number and so forth for anybody that's, in diaspora or anywhere else that would want to be able to access the services, but want to be able to know about the education for the TP, that they can be able to contact you?
Yeah, and the web portal.
And the web portal, yes.
I am so glad that you said that, because I always brag that the Ministry of Labor, the rural transformation,
All of that.
labor, and local government.
Alexia, let me see if you get it.
She put me on the spot.
Yeah.
Our department, the Department of Labor, our website, the entire ministry website is updated every day.
Wow.
Our PR, Ms. Jenny, does a great job. Once you go into that website, you can just Google the website and go in. You'll see all the necessary information. If you want to know more about rural development, you can click rural. If you want to know about labor, you can click labor. Our faces are there, with our phone numbers are there, and our emails are there. So you can just go in and just look up. The names are there. Or we have a new deputy labor commissioner. Her name is there also. You can just send her an email, and she gives us all the information and say, well, this is an education for you today here. And so right now, because May was Labor Day and Labor Month, we have been doing a lot of labor education. And now June is Public Service Month. So we go in with public service also.
There we go.
So you can just go to our website and you'll get all those information.
I like how they have the numbers. I hope the
Yes.
updated numbers.
I know, and some pictures that I asked to change my picture every time, but anyway.
So we definitely love. Sorry.
Yes, I just wanted to build on it a bit because you've mentioned that it's a lot of reading and sometimes it's hard to understand all of the processes. But I think what Labor Department is doing with simplifying the process is extremely important. And then the payment part, it's even easier because we try to make sure that the payments are done with one click. In our case, it's actually 2 clicks, but but it's extremely easy. So it's really not something that you need to spend half an hour of trying to figure out how to make it happen. It's extremely easy and user-friendly. You also mentioned that a lot of workers, they are coming for the banana belt, right? The Theus industry. And this is very important that we will educate the employers if, as an end-to-end process, right? How to apply and also how they can also pay the workers. Because right now it's a very difficult process as well because they don't have a bank account usually. So they are paid with the checks. And then they need to go
And
cash
spend
out
it
the
online.
check. Yes. And what is even worse, then they need to pay the percent from the check to the store where they are cashing this check out, right? Which is then making your disposable income even lower. So the same eCash that is right now facilitating the temporary employment permit can be used by the employers to pay the
Payments.
workers their salaries.
All right.
And all of the salaries are also paid immediately to their wallet, and then they can do everything they want, either buy groceries. If they really need to have cash, they can go to the store and cash it out. So it's like really creating the full process.
They get a full experience money, like
full
from start to
experience.
finish.
And
Correct.
Agata, one thing that we've missed is like for people, let's say that do not have the eCash app, right, or access to it. Can you quickly let us know how can they register to it? Where do they download it? Because if you're gonna be making all these processes, you need to have the app, right? So we
Yes.
haven't touched that there. So
Yes, so you go even to Apple Store or to Google Play, you download eCash, and then you just need to enter your phone number. You will receive the one-time password through the SMS. You need to enter this password and then start the registration process, which is you need to set up your password
Okay.
that will be known only to you, the PIN as well. As well, I would like to mention, please, I beg, don't share your credentials with anyone. This is extremely important.
Yeah.
Like you don't take your wallet from the pocket and give to someone.
Like,
you should
see all
not.
my stuff, no.
Exactly, right? You should not give your credentials and share your credentials with anyone. And then it's just a couple of the very simple questions about the district and about the address. And then you are in and you can start.
beautiful.
Get money.
So easy, so convenient. Wow.
But
This
also
time-
to
Yeah.
this point, sorry to cut you off. What we did specifically for the government of Belize, we enabled the bulk payments for the temporary work permits because in eCash we have 3 levels of wallets, and then depending on which level you have, then you can process transactions to the certain amount.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
But for the government of Belize, what we enabled is that if somebody is scanning the code for the government, then the limits are significantly higher. And this is done on purpose. So when somebody is applying for the multiple work permits, they don't need to go one by one.
Yeah.
Right.
So you have one application and then you need to pay. And then another one, because in the banana sector, for example, you sometimes have like 100 applications at the same time. So then you can just complete all of them and pay in bulk and you're all set.
That's
Great.
so much convenience
Yeah. So
right
thank
there.
you so much
Yeah.
for joining us. Unfortunately, we're out of time for this conversation. So we're ready to wrap up the show. But yeah, thank you once more for joining us, giving us the insight into what is the new kid on the block when it comes to e-governance.
Sorry.
We look forward to
Can I
having you
just
again.
add one?
No, we're...
One thing. Because I just want to mention that tomorrow we're actually doing the official launch and we're going to be doing
Okay.
the launch of the step-by-step video showing how
Perfect.
you complete the process on the TP and the eCash. I know you raised the question about awareness. So I just wanted to bring it up. You know, we invite the general public to join us to get a first-hand look in how the system is going to work on how easy and user-friendly it is. And we're going to be doing roadshows across the country as well in bringing awareness at the district levels.
Okay.
So everybody
Well, thank you
has
so
access
much.
to this
Yes.
information, if nothing else. Make sure, guys, we don't big up how Labor Department have the nice up Facebook page and everything and their website and all these
Right.
stuff. So make sure you check out to be able to see how the processes go. Download your eCash app and be able to see exactly how you're going to be able to look through it,
Yeah.
work it out, and get your money, guys. But with that, we just want to thank you so much, ladies,
Thank
for
you,
being
ladies.
here.
Thank you as well.
And with that,
Thank you
guys,
very
we go
much.
to our next commercial break. When we're back, we're going to be wrapping up today's show. Stay tuned.